right. Good Thursday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Jesse Peterson, and let's go ahead and talk about the weather for your Thursday. And as you can see on the screen right now, we have a lot of stuff to go on and talk about. Starting off, obviously, severe weather. Later on this week, there is a new area of interest that was put out by the Storm Prediction Center that was put out for Sunday. Sunday, risk of severe weather for the state of South Carolina, and even on Saturday, there is also a risk of severe weather for the state of South Carolina. So, severe weather, and then obviously our Gulf system that's going to be off the coast of South Carolina pretty soon. That's going to be impacting us later on next week. So, back to back severe weather and tropical in a tropical system, rather it be a storm or a hurricane or wherever it may be, you know, still we're waiting on the details for that and for the models to get more in agreement. But we'll go over the models and all that kind of stuff and seeing, what happens there. And so all of that we're going to go in and break down. But before we go in and do so, what's on tap for tonight? Hot and humid tonight, Friday with heat advisories possible tomorrow. Generally dry conditions through Friday with only isolated and scattered storms. Back to that summertime pattern. Continued hot and humid conditions with heat indices from 100 to 106 degrees. Rain chances rise Saturday, Sunday, maybe even on Monday with severe weather possible. And then tropical moisture or a disturbance in the Gulf could influence early next week's weather. So all of that we're going to go in and talk about. Make sure that if you have not hit the like button yet, please go in and do so. Also hit the subscribe button. Right now, we've had 6 people tune in so far and only 1 like. So if you're part of that group of 5 that have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so and share. Share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, and people that you don't talk to regularly because it's free. It's free. It's free. So we're going to start off first, not by talking about, what's currently going on throughout the state, but we're going to start off first by going over the severe weather. And so the first thing we're going to look at real quick is the SPC outlook. Sunday, July 19th, 2026. We have a slight risk of severe weather for Rock Hill, Columbia, Florence, up there in the northern PD areas, the northern Midland areas, even the eastern upstate. Severe weather definitely is possible. And the day before, on Saturday, severe weather possible from Greenville all the way through into Columbia, Florence, and Myrtle Beach. That's a marginal risk, so level 1 out of 5. But it's still there. It could intensify more. You see that slight risk up there in North Carolina. Maybe it could, go down towards us as we go over through the next couple of days. But we'll see what happens there. But the main day, Sunday, July 19th, 2026 now, with a pretty rare day 4 risk for July, because usually during this time of year we don't really see this over here in the state of South Carolina like that. But now that we're seeing it, now we're gonna have to actually, you know, make sure that we're taking this seriously, because here on the South Carolina Weather Channel, we take every risk seriously. Doesn't matter if it's as low as a 2%, 5%, 10%, 20, 30, 50, 70%. Does not matter. We take every risk seriously here. And so you may be asking, well, what's the main driving force? And, what do they say? Well, in their discussion, for day 4, one thing that they do touch on, and honestly, which now that I'm looking at it, you can honestly kind of see, which I don't know what in the world's going on with their website right now, but I guess they're having some issues right now because it is not loading up for me at all. So I can't check exactly, but one thing that I can say is that as we go over into the risk, just looking at it, could be a damaging wind risk. Tornadoes, could it be possible? I mean, possibly, but is that going to be the main factor? Not quite sure. Hail also, kind of in that same boat. The discussion that they have, for the most part, it says modest height falls will overspread this boundary across the Carolinas during the afternoon on Sunday, as the region remains on southern fringe of the departing waves basal region. You may not understand that exactly, but pretty much it's saying that outflows, wind damage, has been pretty much put into place for the Carolinas for Sunday, day 4, to account for this potential. So the main thing that I'm seeing here is winds, damaging winds being the main thing here as we move into day 4. And, it may even go into other areas on day 5, but not for us, though. So we're going to continue to watch, the actual discussion and what they say for that. But let's go and look at the models for it now. So we're going to start off here, and we're just going to move into Saturday first. And Saturday, for the most part, have us around like 11 a.m., 2 p.m. or so. You can see, rainfall, isolated showers, storm activity, some severe weather possible on Saturday. But watch for Sunday. Sunday comes along, and you don't really see too much. I mean, as you get to around 2 p.m., 5 p.m., but watch as we get to 8 p.m., going into around 11 p.m. on Sunday. Now we're starting to see some showers, some storm activity going on throughout, obviously, the upstate areas. The Midlands starting to get in on some by 11 p.m. And as we go all the way even to 5 o'clock in the morning, we're still seeing some shower and some storm activity. So rainfall activity seems to be trying to make its way through. Same thing with that severe weather potential, trying to come into the state by the time we get to around 5, 8, maybe more into like 11 o'clock p.m. And so even as we go over into our, Monday time frame, things kind of calm down a little bit, but we still see a good amount of rainfall. And then there goes that low pressure. That's the secondary area that we're going to talk about, and watch how much rainfall we get over the state as we move into Monday and Tuesday. So again, that's the secondary threat, but we're talking about severe weather first. And so this severe weather system right here tries to make its presence known. Now, what are the things that you need for some severe weather to happen? Well, you need some moisture, and obviously the moisture, that's present. We're seeing high 60s, low 70s. That's a given. We're going to see that moisture. Another thing that you want to look at, if we're looking for like tornadoes, would be the upper level winds, but you don't really see that too much. So like I said, I don't really think a tornado threat. If anything, if it was to happen, it would be very low, but I just don't really see anything really pushing up in the atmosphere like that at all. And then if we go on and take a look at our last area, which is the Cape. Cape is definitely in the atmosphere. Definitely is in the atmosphere as we move to around 5 p.m. all the way to 8 p.m. And you can even see where that rain activity is starting to eat up the Cape. You remember how those storms started to form in the upstate by around 8 o'clock p.m. Look, at 8 o'clock p.m., a good chunk of that Cape gets taken up by that rainfall and all of that thunderstorm activity up there, and it intensifies, getting stronger and stronger. And so, there's definitely a good amount of Cape levels going on over here in the state to support severe weather. From 1,000 to 2,000, maybe even close to 2,500 in terms of Cape levels here. So it's a good amount. It definitely is a good amount, and we're going to continue to watch for those levels as we move into the next couple of days. But the Cape levels are there, the dew points are there. The upper level winds, not really too much. Now, overall, if we go on and see what other models are saying, seeing what other what other outlooks are saying, if we go over to the European one, for example, over into the dew point side, most likely we'll also have the same, level of dew points, if not even higher dew point levels as well. So that's all inside the atmosphere, and all of that's ready to go. So, moisture, I'm not really too worried that won't happen. Same thing as we move into, Cape levels as well. I think both of those are pretty given. It's really just what happens with the precipitation. And according to the European model says as we move into Sunday, 2 p.m., look at 8 p.m. here. You see all this rainfall trending all the way throughout the upstate areas, down into the Midland areas, down to the low country as well. But one thing I also do like to look for is cloud cover and clearing before, because as you know, or as you may know, if it's clear and you get some sunshine to go into the state, the day of, like the morning time before the severe weather event happens, you could see some of those storms be even stronger. But if you see cloud cover, you see rainfall, there's a good chance that you may not see much. And so as we go to 8 a.m., we go to 2 p.m., you see some rainfall trying to move into the upstate, but it's nothing really widespread. And so I don't think that there's going to be too much of any sort of heavy rainfall statewide that's really going to try and hamper this severe weather threat down. Again, things can change, but for right now, it's not really looking too likely for that. Now, if we move into days 4 through 8, obviously, we have the CSU model. I like to look at this one. I don't really like the CIPS too much, but if you look at the CSU model right here, in the middle of your screen, you can see that a good amount of us, even more than what the SPC has, is in the yellow 15% to a 30% risk in terms of severe weather into Sunday. You even see a little bit on Saturday, which we know Saturday we also have a risk for some severe weather as well on Saturday. So both days I'm watching for some severe weather to kind of occur in these areas. But that's pretty much all I have to say here. Make sure that you are, prepared for any sort of severe weather that comes your way, damaging wind-wise, rather it be hail-wise or anything like that. Make sure that you are aware, because obviously we know that every risk needs to be taken seriously here. And especially since, they're this far out, day 4, and they're this confident, that means that there's a pretty significant margin to it. But that's all they have to say here for the severe weather side. Now, what about for the tropics? Well, we have 2 areas. We know, if you were here yesterday, we know what the 2 areas are. You have Disturbance 1, which is down there at the bottom right side in the eastern Atlantic. Showers and thunderstorms associated with a tropical wave located southeast of the Cabo Verde Islands remain disorganized. Development, if any, should be slow to occur during the next day or two, while the system moves generally west-northwest at about 10 miles per hour. By the weekend, the system is forecast to move into a hostile environment, and further development is not expected. So, like I said, for the past night or two, at this point, not really too concerned about this system over here in the eastern tropical Atlantic. The one that has my attention is disturbance number 2 over here in the Gulf, and right off the coast of us. An area of low pressure is forecasted to form this weekend over the northeastern Gulf. Some gradual development of the system is possible while it moves slowly northeast over the northeastern Gulf and near the coast of the southeastern United States early next week. So that has a 0% chance of forming over the next 48 hours and a 20% chance of forming over the next 7 days. So the percentages there have not changed quite yet. And if we go on and take a look at the ensembles real quick, seeing what the ensembles have to say in terms of these systems, we're going to go on and look at the European first, as we usually do. Time, you can't really see the time too much, but I'm going to go back to the 12Z, update it, and time will be at the top right part of your screen. Make sure that you please pay attention to that. And as we go on and push this forward, again, time is up here, where my mouse cursor is, up here at the top right portion of the screen. You can see it says 7:18, 7:19 or so. Not the first date, but the second date where it says valid. And then the second date, that's the time you want to pay attention to. And, just focusing over here on Disturbance 1 first, watch how quickly the European kind of just gets that system out quickly. I mean, very quick. After you get to around, I think, Sunday, Monday or so, the European says that thing's done. It's done. It's not going to do anything else. So what about the Gulf system? Well, the Gulf system's still over there, and it kind of does something, but it kind of trends towards the west. And according to the European models, the European model actually has this system, trending, not even near South Carolina, going way more west, and actually developing pretty quickly, like very, very quickly to where, you may have a hurricane on your hands at this point. But again, it's just, a couple of members going on, so, that's not 100% what's going to happen, but you can definitely see some of the pinks. You can see some of the reds going on. That's up on the max wind scale in terms of knots. That's around 80 to 100 knots or so. That's pretty, that's pretty bad wind right there that would impact a lot of the Gulf Coast. But again, you don't really see it over the state of South Carolina. You don't really see it trending over the state of South Carolina. Now, what about if we go towards the Euro AI model? Well, this one, as we push it forward, obviously it has the one over here, disturbance 1 in the eastern Atlantic, kind of going away pretty quickly, but watch how it blows up in the Gulf. Blows up completely, and now we have a huge amount of low pressure systems kind of forming in the Gulf. But again, they don't really go towards South Carolina. They continue their way over into the west, and they're not as strong as the European was. It kind of just moved its way over towards the west, and continuing to stay on a weaker side, but still may try to form into something. And then the GEFS, the final one, GEFS, continues to have this one down here in the Eastern Atlantic kind of fading out, but it does have the one in the Gulf, kind of more than likely, trying to form and actually move its way up towards South Carolina a little bit, but it's still very, very weak. So, even if it's a 1006, 1008, 1009 millibar low pressure, you may think, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, that means that the higher the number is, obviously the weaker it's going to be, and the lower the number is, the worse it's going to be. So even though it says, for example, 1014, you see 1007, 1007 is the stronger one. You can definitely see as it moved its way, forward even past the 23rd here, you can still see a whole bunch of low pressures going on, but, it doesn't really show anything too powerful. I don't really see anything too powerful here throughout the state and just throughout this entire area. I mean, yeah, like I said, I see a lot of lower 1000s, which, could still provide some heavy rainfall, could still provide, some gusty winds in spots, but I mean, not really seeing anything too organized on that scale. But things will always change. We're going to continue to watch for it as we get more and more into the future. But that's all I have to say here in terms of the actual tropics, because I mean, nothing else really for me to talk about except for the members here and the models here, but they don't really show anything too bad, and all of them are still all over the place, so we still can't really get an exact confirmation. But one thing I will say is that most of the ensembles are actually trending towards that more westward output. It's not really going towards the east, like over Florida, over, towards Georgia, over towards South Carolina. So it would not surprise me if they make that yellow area stretch a little bit further more towards the west. I mean, it could happen. It could happen. I do think that that's a good possibility that it could happen. But as you go into the actual strength of it as well, the strength of it's also over the place. You see some to where it gets close to a hurricane. You see some where it is a hurricane. You see some where it's not even developing at all. So that's just how in the dark we are. That's just how far in the dark we are. We just don't know exactly what's going to happen with the system, and we're still a bit too far out. But that's all I have to say here in terms of the hurricane update. Please, again, make sure that you stay aware, make sure that you stay prepared, and have those hurricane plans in place so you know what to do just in case. Now, let's go on and move off the tropics. Let's go on and move off the severe weather. We know that severe weather is possible. Saturday, Sunday, we know that the tropics may be a potential issue as you go into early next week. But what about now? Well, currently, we're not seeing anything throughout the state of South Carolina. We look nice and dry right now, but what about the entire U.S.? Well, we do have some rainfall going on in areas of the southeast, Georgia, Florida. We see some rainfall in Missouri going on in Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, Texas, getting in on some flash flooding. You see some more rainfall in Utah, going into Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, even also into Montana. We're seeing some severe weather with some storms in Idaho and some severe weather in North Dakota, where there even is an observed tornado warning in North Dakota. That means that there's a tornado that was spotted on the ground in North Dakota. So, know anybody up there, especially in the northeastern and the north central portions, let them know. Now, let's go on and take a look at our cloud cover. It looks like that for the majority of us, we look pretty good. Good amount of us are still inside of that kind of mostly cloudy regional, mostly cloudy areas like the western low country, parts of the foothill areas, and obviously areas of the Piedmont. But for the majority of us, looking mostly clear. Cloud cover for the future as we move over into tonight, going over into tomorrow morning, we're continuing to stay mostly clear. But watch as we move into the afternoon tomorrow, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., all the way over to 4 p.m., we have cloud cover activity that moves all the way from upstate to the coastal areas. And then as you go into the nighttime hours on Friday, moving into Saturday morning here, we have some more cloud cover with some severe weather obviously possible as we move into that afternoon time frame. Now, current temperatures right now, we're talking about 83 in Somerville, 84 in Charleston, Beaufort, even 83 in Georgetown, Myrtle Beach, 83 in North Myrtle Beach, 86 in Florence, and 87 Hartsville, 88 Lancaster, Rock Hill, York, even 84 in Greenville, and 82 in Clemson, 81 in Anderson. Air quality for tonight, it looks like that the majority of us are inside the good category, but good amount of us are inside that yellow moderate category. If you're in the yellow area, just make sure that you are paying attention for tonight. And we even have a little area up there in the orange category that's over there near, can't really see that too well, Dudley, South Carolina, as well as Crowburg and Tradesville, South Carolina. Those areas are inside of the orange unhealthy for sensitive groups. So if you're in those areas, and you are part of the sensitive group, or you know somebody that is, let them know they probably should not be outside for too long for tonight. Now, low temperatures for tonight, we're looking at around 75 in Spartanburg, 75 in Rock Hill, even 77 in Columbia, 76 in Orangeburg, and 79 in Charleston, 80 in Hilton Head Island, and 77 in Georgetown, 79 in Myrtle Beach. Now, as we look at our high temperatures for tomorrow, 97, Spartanburg, 98 in Rock Hill, even Columbia at 98, 98 in Florence, and 91 in Myrtle Beach, 94, Georgetown, 93, Charleston, Hilton Head Island, and 95 in Barnwell. Heat index values for tomorrow, a lot of us will be 105 plus, and I really do think that heat advisories will be likely tomorrow, as we see a lot of areas that may reach 110 plus as well, especially in the Charleston County area. I see some Berkeley County areas, and over there near like the Beaufort County, Jasper County areas. Those areas may be needed for a heat advisory for tomorrow. We'll see what the National Weather Service at Charleston does there. Everybody else, 105, I see like 110 maybe near Columbia, so the National Weather Service of Columbia may have some warnings going out as well. Now, in terms of rainfall, honestly, a good amount throughout a regional area. You see around 1/100 of an inch to 1/10 of an inch for Anderson, for Winsboro, Columbia, Moncks Corner, Kingstree, Barnwell, and somebody may even see 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. And so, main thing that I'm looking at here is, it's obviously it's not a whole lot of rainfall, but if somehow some of those summer storms get going tomorrow, how much rainfall could they really drop? And, how much could we be talking on a torrential downpour effect? How much could we be talking about in terms of just a storm effect in general? Just because we know that those summertime thunderstorms could drop a lot of rain in a short period of time. So that is one thing that I'm looking at in terms of, those individual storms that kind of move through, those summertime storms coming in as we move into tomorrow once again. SPC outlook for tonight. Let's see what the updated one says, because we know what they like to do at 9 p.m. It looks like that they have not really changed too much. They didn't really change too much as we go into tonight here. So thunderstorms still possible for the upstate, Midlands, Low Country, Grand Strand areas, Western PD areas as we move into tonight. Tomorrow, thunderstorms are possible statewide. Doesn't matter where you are. You have a risk of thunderstorms for tomorrow. Then on Saturday, things start to hit the fan a little bit. We know Saturday, July 18th, we have a marginal risk of severe weather up there for the upstate, going into the Midlands, going into the PD areas, going all the way over to Myrtle Beach. Marginal risk of severe weather there. And then obviously we know day 4 on Sunday, July 19th, 2026, a slight risk of severe weather for these areas. If you're in the risk of severe weather, or if you're just in a regular thunderstorm risk, because obviously we know that those severe weather risks can expand. Make sure that you're prepared. Excessive rainfall is not expected at this time. Crazy score for tonight, we're at a 5. So we're at a 5 right now. Again, nice dry conditions. Does make sense. So let's go in now and take a look at the models. Time is at the bottom part of your screen. Please make sure that you go in and pay attention to that, as that is very, 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 very important to go on and do so. We're going to look at it here starting off at 7 or 9 o'clock p.m. I don't know why we were pushed that far. And go to the 18Z and do 9 p.m. There we go. So starting off as we move into tonight, Obviously, we may still have some, little rain showers that may try to still pop up. Could cause some thunder, but it kind of goes away relatively quickly. Even as you go into tomorrow morning, you're not really seeing much. But tomorrow afternoon, 1 to 2 p.m., I'm watching for that fire up of storms to start from the Midlands to the Low Country to the PD areas. I'm ready and watching for it, and we all should be watching around 1 to 2 o'clock p.m. for those showers and storms to start forming off and to start going, because as we move even to 3 p.m., 4, 5, those storms will get, increasingly more towards the stronger side. Now, as you go to around 6 p.m., going all the way into 8, 9 p.m., it just continues to look more just like a scattered pop-up summertime pattern type thunderstorm day as we go into tomorrow. Tomorrow night comes along going into Saturday morning, and then as we go even into Saturday afternoon, a lot of that rainfall activity kind of just goes away until we get into the afternoon on Saturday, and then we start to see some more shower and storm activity pop up, especially up there in the upstate, where guess what? That severe weather risk starts. Now for the long-term future, we're going to start off here on Saturday where we just ended off at, and we're going to move up towards the 18Z real quick as well. Maybe, or no, this is the European, excuse me. Let me go back towards the GFS. I forgot we checked that for the severe weather outlook a bit earlier. But as we go on and push this forward, Saturday, looks like again that isolated severe weather day. Sunday comes in. Watch as we get into Sunday around 5 p.m. all the way to around 8 p.m. on Sunday. Look at all of this rainfall that we have trying to push in as we go into the 19th. And, watch how it goes all the way from, the Midland areas towards the upstate, towards the PD areas. You can see a lot of that rainfall continuing to trend its way down towards the south here. And then even as you move into Monday, we're still looking at a good amount of rainfall that can track to around 8 p.m. on Monday all the way into the early morning hours on Tuesday. And then the GFS isn't really too keen. It's not really too keen in terms of, really any like Gulf system, to be honest with you. It doesn't really have anything forming and really riding up towards the South Carolina coast. So again, we also have those models that are just continuing to stay that no, nothing's going to happen here in terms of the tropics. Now, as we go over into Wednesday of next week, we're looking for a pretty big system to try and move through as we go into midweek next week. I'm really watching this for next week, midweek, because look how much rainfall we have that tries to move through. We go into like 2 p.m., 5 p.m., 8 p.m. I mean, just look at how much, rainfall we have. So this could be something really to watch for. I know it's still 150 hours out, but I'm really taking a look at this and really trying to figure out what this could do in terms of hazards, what this could do. And even if we go in and take a look at the actual ingredients for it, you have the moisture, and you can easily tell it's a cold front because watch how those dew points drop significantly as soon as the storm system goes away. You look over into the upper winds. You do actually have some winds up in the upper atmosphere here. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. And then if you go in and take a look at the Cape levels as well, Cape levels will also be up there. So risk of severe weather potentially as we go into midweek as well of next week. Now, as we go even further into the future, let me get out of this. Back my way up. There we go. We go into Thursday, we go into Friday, and then look how much low pressures try to form inside the Gulf, tries to form inside the Atlantic as we get later on into next week again. So we may be talking about something else, another area of potentially to watch for in terms of the tropics as we move into later on next week, going into next weekend. So that's something, again, to keep an eye on. We move over into Monday and Tuesday of the week after next week, and things just kind of get a little bit more towards the active side, and things are obviously too far out. Once you get around 300 hours out or so, things start to change up and things start to get a lot, just unreliable. So we're just going to go in and kind of push this off from the 300 plus hour mark off to the side, because we can't really tell exactly what's going to happen. But one thing that we can check is the ensembles. Watch as we get into like hours 384. of the GEFS. This is how much rainfall we could potentially receive over the next 384 hours. You see 2 inches up there in the upstate. You see maybe around maybe 3 to 4 inches or so near the coastal areas. So a lot of rainfall. A lot of rainfall could definitely happen as we move throughout the next 384 hours. In fact, the National Weather Service has us under a risk for some heavy rainfall over the next 3 to 7 days. So I'm really keeping an eye to see what's going on in terms of these totals and what that's going to do for the drought. Speaking of the drought, it is Thursday. So the drought predictions are going on inside the chat right now. As we go in and take a look at the European over the next 360 hours, same around maybe like 1.5 inches to maybe even around 4 inches or so near the coastal areas here. So before we go in and move to the temperatures, let's go in and explain real quick what the drought prediction rules are and what the choices are. So if you have no idea what the drought prediction is, it is a prediction that we come on here every Thursday evening and we see what the U.S. Drought Monitor has put for the forecast for the state of South Carolina. So obviously we take the past 7 days. I even try and predict it myself. I have not seen it. I'm not even going to lie. I've seen a little glimpse of it. It was completely by accident. So I think I may have a little idea of what it is. But we're going to go and put the options. Obviously, option number 1 being the drought has expanded. Obviously, option number 2 being that the drought is, the drought and drought has shrunk slash kind of stayed the same. And then option number 3, the drought is gone, but the abnormally dry remains. Abnormally dry is pretty much just, it's not a drought, but it's pretty dry. And then obviously option number 4, drought and abnormally dry is gone. So that's going inside the chat right now. Make sure that you go on and vote. Go on and vote right now because that is going on right now in the chat. So let's go ahead and talk about temperatures real quick. We go over into Thursday, moving over into Friday. We know it's going to be hot in terms of temperatures. We know that those heat, advisories may be out as we go over into this weekend. And then even as you move into Saturday, going over into Sunday and Monday even, you continue to see a good amount of warm air kind of sticking around. But watch as we go into Sunday night and Monday here. You do see some cooler air trying to infiltrate its way through a little bit, and that is really just because of that cold front that's going to move through on Sunday. Warm air tries to take a little bit of a rebound on Tuesday, but watch Wednesday. Wednesday, a lot more cooler air comes in, and now we're talking about, as we move over into like 2 p.m. on later on next week, we're talking about 15 degrees below average, 10 to 15 degrees below average in some spots as you move into later on next week due to Wednesday's cold front that could be pretty significant. Even as you go into Friday, Saturday, it's still going to be cooler. So cool temperatures are definitely on the way. Cooler temperatures definitely are on the way. Now, if we go and take a look at the actual temperatures themselves, we move over into Thursday, going over into Friday and Saturday. We know we're up into the hundreds. Monday comes along. Obviously, we're a bit cooler. We're down to like the lower 90s. Tuesday, we rise back up a little bit into like the mid 90s. But then Wednesday, things cool down a good bit. And then on Thursday, high temperatures again, only in the 80s. And you may say, oh, well, it's still the 80s. It's still warm. And you're exactly correct. 80 degrees temperatures are still warm, but it's definitely better and definitely cooler than temperatures up in the hundreds, with heat index values up to 110, 115. Even as you go into the weekend of next weekend, it still looks like it could be pretty cool, but don't worry, these hot temperatures are not going to be done, after these cooler air masses are kind of over the state and leave. They're still going to come back. The heat is still going to come back towards us. Heat index values wise, as we move over into this weekend, we know it's going to be up past, 105, going towards like 106, 109 in some spots. We move over into Sunday, kind of 105 or so. So we're definitely going to stay warm there. And then for our temperatures for the future, as you move over into like the next 200 hours or so, we're going to look at the ensembles. And the ensembles kind of show us on a bit of a lower trend as we go towards the end of July. But I think as we get more into August, things may try to get a little bit warmer there. And that's all I have to say here. So, in terms of the drought monitor predictions right now, so far, 100%, everybody thinks that the drought has shrunk / stayed the same. We're going to go on real quick and get my prediction right now. And I'm going to go on and take a look over at the precipitation, the observed precipitation over the past 7 days. And honestly, I do agree. I mean, I do agree. I see a lot of areas to where around 2 inches, 2 inches over here near the Sumter areas, and even 2 inches over near the Myrtle Beach areas, 4 inches in downtown Charleston over the past 7 days. That would explain why there is a whole bunch of coastal flood advisories going on. And overall, I just don't really see a world to how in the world this does expand. If it somehow was to expand, that means that we were definitely in a bigger drought than I think that we definitely anticipated it to be, which is possible. So we're going to just go in and end the polling right there, and we're going to go in and get a drum roll, and then we're going to reveal the answer for tonight. And honestly, it honestly does look like, as we go into the 16th, which is today, it does look like that the majority of it did stay the same, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close in my opinion. I think I'm going to have to go on and check and see what last week's looked like. Last week was the 9th, so that was the last time we did that. Was I even here on the 9th? Actually, I was not even here on the 9th, now that I think about it. So it would technically be the next day, or the next week that I came back from there. So I'm going to go and find that right now. But I do see there still is a lot of red in the low country, the Grand Strand areas, the PD areas, the even northern PD areas still in there. You see that D0 over there on the western side still, there as well. And the upstate did not seem to recede much at all. So nothing really changed too much. I mean, not too much of a heavy decrease. I thought that it would at least decrease a little bit more, but I mean, according to them over there at the U.S. Drought Monitor, don't really think so. But just looking at it, I do see a decrease. I actually do see a little bit of a decrease going on. Not as big, but still something to go and keep an eye on. If you look over here near Charleston County, this is last week's right here on the 9th, you can see Charleston County was completely engulfed. But if you look at it today the Drought Monitor has, only like pretty much kind of like split in the middle in Charleston County. Also titled Berkeley County, no longer inside of the D3 anymore, now in the D2. And overall, I mean, I see there maybe was a little bit of a decrease in the drought over there inside of Chesterfield County and Darlington counties, but again, nothing else really changes. Over here. So congratulations to the 100% of people, which is everybody here, that got it correct, at least that voted, that got it correct. And also to myself as well that got it correct for tonight. But now with that long forecast out of the way, that was already at 9:37. That took a long time to get through it, but I mean, that's just what's going on with the weather right now. Everything's active, everything's busy, and when that type of stuff happens, the forecast does tend to take a little bit of a long time. But we're going to go on now and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say here for tonight. My Aunt Lula says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Prayerfully, everyone had a wonderful day. Well, I did. Today's high in Georgetown was around 93. Felt like 97 with humidity. It's currently around 84. Well, at my house right now, it is currently 81, feels like 89, and the high temperature for today was 95, felt like around 107. She also says, we had a beautiful day today, however, I spent a lot of time indoors. I was hoping we'd get some hit and miss showers, but we did not. My cousin Cheryl says, good evening, Weatherman. Good evening, everyone. Hope all is well. It was hot up here in Philly. Thank you, Weatherman, for preparing me. Be blessed, everyone. Well, thank you so much for being here for tonight. No problem at all. I noticed that severe weather is on the way and a tropical system also. Wow. Even on Saturday. Yes, on Saturday. I know. We were just talking about you on Saturday, a couple of days ago, and you asked me what the forecast was for Saturday. Well, I think Georgetown is just to the south, but I mean, it can expand. And The good thing about it is that it's an isolated risk. So an isolated storm risk. So even if, there's a good chance that you may not even get hit with the storm at all and everything will be fine. But if it does go down and it does include all of Georgetown there, then yeah, you will have to watch out for some severe weather. You will have to watch out for some severe weather. Now, as we go on and continue our way down, I'm not with the models. My name says hello, Jane. All hello to you, and then Trail says greetings, everyone. Greetings to you. And that's all that I can see here throughout the chat here for tonight. So we're going to go on and talk about the top fan question of the night for tonight. The top fan question is a question that we ask every night to see who is paying attention and to see who will win the top fan of the night for tonight. My Aunt Lula won yesterday, and let's see who was paying attention for tonight. And so, when we were talking about the time frame for, let's see. When we were talking about the time frame for a potential severe weather system, this was during the long-term future. When we were talking about a major cold blast to try and come in sometime next week, what day was it? What day was it that severe weather may be trying to make its presence known, not only for just Saturday and Sunday, but also for later on next week? What day was that? And if you can get that correct, I will go on and give you top fan of the night for tonight, and you will win. But while they're answering that, let's go and talk about the 3 areas outside of South Carolina. You might be asking, 3 areas? What am I talking about? I'm talking about Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 3 areas is because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly. And because they tune in almost nightly, we go in and give them their forecast for them. So starting off with Raleigh first, you have low temperatures tonight at 75. High temperatures for tomorrow at 100. And then low temperatures tomorrow night at 76. No precipitation tonight or tomorrow. But a haze still is expected as the wildfire smoke up there from the north continues its way down towards you and continues to impact your air quality. So make sure that if you are outside, hopefully it's not for too long of a period of time. Severe weather for you. You do have a risk of severe weather. You do definitely have a risk of severe weather. Starting off with Saturday. Saturday, slight risk of severe weather, and then also on Sunday, you have a slight risk of severe weather. So both days, scattered severe thunderstorms are possible for you as you move into this weekend for both days. Excessive rainfall-wise, it seems like right now that you are in the clear in terms of excessive rainfall, so you're good in terms of flooding. Now, in terms of your future, in terms of temperature-wise, you're going to continue to stay in the 90s, even though as you move later on into next week, it does look like that you will continue to kind of cool down a little bit in the lower 90s, but not quite in those higher 90s. And even by Thursday of next week, after that major cold front moves in later on towards midweek, you could see some lower temperatures, even in the higher 80s as you move into Thursday. So that's something that will change, but something that will not change is your activity. Tomorrow pretty much is like one of your last dry days. Because Saturday going all the way into next week, Thursday, it's going to be active for you. A chance of rainfall every single day. I see Thursday and Friday as an option. No, neither of those are correct. Neither of those are the correct answer. Now, as we move over towards Philadelphia, you have low temperatures tonight at 73, high temperatures for tomorrow at 90, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 72. Smoke is going to be the main factor. No precipitation, but smoke will be impacting you tonight, tomorrow, and Friday night. Tonight, tomorrow, and Friday night. Make sure that you are, again, if you're outside, try not to be outside for as long as you can. You don't want to try and breathe any of that stuff in, or as least as you can breathe any of that stuff in. And then as you go on and take a look at your future, severe weather-wise, you do have a risk for severe weather on Saturday. So that's something also to watch for, slight risk of severe weather. And then in terms of excessive rainfall, you do have a risk, you do, on Saturday as well. Saturday, slight risk of excessive rainfall, scattered flash flooding, and scattered severe storms are possible for you on Saturday. Now, if we go in and take a look at your future, Saturday and Sunday will be pretty active days, but then, you'll take a little bit more of a break on Monday and, even maybe a little bit on Tuesday, but honestly, it looks like Tuesday could also be a rain day as well. So really just tonight, tomorrow, and Monday But then, other than that, you're going to be active as well. And then temperatures are also going to stay up into the lower 90s, upper 80s for you. But don't worry, maybe even by Thursday of next week, you'll be in the lower 80s. And then I do see the answer inside the chat. We're going to go in and say that in just a moment. But for Duncan, Oklahoma, you have low temperatures tonight at 70, high temperatures for tomorrow at 90, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 72. Chance of thunderstorms tonight, tomorrow night, you're not expecting anything there. And then in terms of severe weather, we're not seeing anything here. And then in terms of any sort of excessive rainfall, it also looks like that you are good there as well. And then if you look at your future, it does look like that you're going to kind of just after tomorrow, going to stay dry, going to stay up into like the upper 100s or so. And then that's pretty much all I have to say there for those areas. So let's see what's going on throughout the entire U.S. Widespread life-threatening flash and urban flooding will continue to pose a significant threat to life and property in the south central Texas area. Catastrophic river flooding with rapid rises on small streams, arroyos, and typically dry washes is expected. Monsoonal showers persist across the Great Basin in the southwest, with the greatest flash flooding area in southern Arizona. So all of that's going on. Air quality going on up there inside of the Northeast, going on inside of even the Mid-Atlantic and the northern Midwest, even the northern, the upper Great Lakes are also included in there as well. Fire weather also up there in the Northwest from Washington State to Idaho to Oregon, and some extreme heat will also continue down there in California. But that's all I can see here in terms of the entire U.S. We did get an answer from Iowa Lewis. She says Monday and Wednesday. Wednesday was the correct answer, so congratulations to you. Remember, if you want to be a part of the top fan conversation, you want to be a potential winner for it, you have to go on and be a subscriber. You have to be here at 9 o'clock p.m. And then you also have to be here early so you can be paying attention. Speaking of 9 o'clock p.m., next week, this is a pretty big announcement. Next week, I'm not quite sure what day yet. I have some stuff that I have planned for next week, so, I don't know exactly what the time frame is looking like right now, but I'll let you know as soon as I can. Next week, the live forecast time, just for temporary purposes, will be pushed up to 8 p.m., okay? Not 9 p.m. anymore. It will be 8 p.m. because I constantly, have people telling me, oh, well, 9 o'clock p.m. is just a bit too late for me. I'm in the bed by that time. And so I decided to just try out 8 o'clock p.m. just to see what happens, because I know a lot more people will be up. A lot more people that are new as well may also be up as well. So 9 p.m. for next week probably won't happen. It will be most likely 8 p.m. or so. So again, I'll let you know when that change does happen and what day it will happen. But for right now, 9 p.m. is still the official time. And if if nothing changes, anything like that, then we'll bring it back to 9 p.m. But if something does change and we see a lot more viewers coming in, we see a lot more people coming in, then, we'll keep it at 8 o'clock p.m. But, I guess we'll see what happens there, or so. But that's all I have to say here for, tonight. If you've not hit the like button yet or the subscribe button yet, please go in and do so. Also hit the share button. Share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, and people that you don't talk to regularly because it's free. It's free. It's free. I will be back again tomorrow morning. Friday morning forecast update. Tomorrow evening, Friday evening. Make sure you check out my website, scweather360.com, and hit those two buttons before you leave if you are new.